Nehemiah chapter 6, the one verse, verse 3. I will be reading from the King James Version. If you care to read it with me, the verse is printed on the screens ahead. And it reads, "And I sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease whilst I leave it and come down to you?" We'd like to speak from the question, what is your life's work? What is your life's work? And just a hint, it ain't your job. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Whether you are 8, 18, or 80, what is, Sister Daniel, on your birthday, Brother Gerald visiting us for the first time, what is the purpose, Sister Pruitt? What is the purpose of your life? Why did God create you? Not me, you. Why, Sister Cookie? Why, Sister Mallet, did God create you? What glory, what honor does God receive by allowing you to remain in His creation? Each Saturday, there are a lot of tents that go up around City Cemetery in Vicksburg. Each Saturday in Jackson, there are a lot of tents at Garden Memorial Park. Your tent was not out there yesterday. So again, I ask, why did God allow you to see this Sunday when somebody else last Sunday was their last Sunday? Nehemiah knew that he was working on something that was of eternal significance. In other words, Brother Stephen Caldwell, it may not have had value to Negroes, but it had value to God. Yes, sir. Is it all right to preach in here? Each of us has been allowed to hang out here, Brother Gerald, so that God, Brother Donovan, would either be glorified in the work we are doing or be preparing you for the punishment for hindering or going against His work. Everybody has a job to do in the creation. You're either helping to advance God's work in the creation, or you're busy helping hinder it. Now, if you say you are a Christian, let me give you a couple of Christian facts. Every Christian, according to the Bible, is viewed as an individual builder. Yes. And our building projects is comprised of our lives. And what we are building with our lives, whether you're 8, 18, or 80, will not only be tested while you live by folk around you, but the building project will ultimately be tested by God in eternity. So Nehemiah's work on rebuilding the walls around God's city, Jerusalem, bring to light some important principles about building your life's work. All right. And the first principle is this. Every builder starts from ruin. Nothing in this fallen creation is perfect. What God pronounced as good and then very good in Genesis chapter 1 no longer exists. What exists is the spiritual ruins of creation. For example, in God's perfect design of Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, there were no children born out of wedlock. There were no homeless people. There were no hungry people. In God's perfect design, Brother Sullivan, there was no violence. There were no lies or liars. There were no secrets. There was not even so much as a single disagreement among people. There was also no sin, Bobby Mallet, so there was no separation between God and man. God walked in his garden among those whom he had created. Nehemiah didn't live in that world, and neither do you and I. Nehemiah had to start from ruins. Now, he was not a prophet or priest. And neither are we, at least you. Nehemiah, as a man, was a cupbearer to the king of Persia. And the cupbearer was not his life's work, but it put him in a position to do his life's work. That ought to tell you something about your job. Your job is not who you are, but it puts you in the position to become who you're becoming. The cupbearer had to taste all the liquids that were going into the king to ensure that they were not poisoned. If you will, Nehemiah was a member of the secret service in the Persian government, assigned to King Artaxerxes. And in this role, he had access to the king. Understand, my sisters and my brothers, while you busy getting people to do stuff for you, God really put you there to get them to do stuff for him. Can I talk in here? King Artaxerxes had the resources to do some good things for God. He himself was not a Christian. But you do understand that bad people can be influenced by Christians. Can I talk in here? In other words, if I'm going to taste this tea for you today, brother, I need you to do something for me. How many of us use the influence that we have with the people of means to do some good things for God? Well, Nehemiah did not remain the cupbearer. He used the influence that he had, Glenn Powell, to have himself appointed governor of Judah. And this new position made him responsible for rebuilding the walls around Jerusalem. Those walls had lay in ruins for some 140 years. Ever since King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon last invaded Judah in about 587 BC. A remnant of the people of God returned after the Babylonian exile. But get this, they had neither security nor dignity as a people because there was no wall around the city. Having no wall around your city is like having a house with no front door. In other words, whatever you're doing in the house, folk can come and go as they please. And you don't have the expectation of privacy. And when you lay down at night in a house that doesn't have a front door, you got to sleep with one eye open. And what's worse yet, Brother John Thompson, the people had gotten used to living that way. But for the Jews living in other places, when they heard that the wall had not been rebuilt, they saw it as a national disgrace. Much like some of y'all out in the county, when I move out there and park my car on the grass, barbecue in the front yard, play the blues early in the morning, late at night. You say that house down there is a disgrace. Well, let me tell you, Sister Thompson, our first building principle is that we all begin in our relationship with God in disgrace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on, Pastor. Yes, sir.
Sister Barry, we ain't born saints.
That's right. All right. That's right.
We might look like saints, but we are born ain'ts. Born in disgrace. We may have had material things, but we sat in ruin spiritually.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where were you downtown, Brown, when you realized the vanity, the uselessness of trying to live life without God? Can I talk in here? A lot of us were raised in houses where there wasn't nary a prayer prayed.
Come on, Pastor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nobody hit their knees to ask God for nothing. The only Bible we had was one that Pookie took from the hotel.
Yes, sir. Yes. Come on, Pastor.
How old were you when you realized that what you thought you were building was really a whole lot of nothing?
Yes, sir. Come on, yeah.
You and that woman thought y'all were going to have something, and that woman was having something. It just wasn't you.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
How old were you? You and I, at some point, we lived life according to our own righteousness. But we were really living in a state of spiritual disgrace, sexual immorality, lying, cheating, stealing, backbiting, envying, coveting. We ourselves invented some sins because other folk wasn't doing it till we started. Every builder begins with ruin because he or she realizes that we were trying to build without Christ as the cornerstone. We were going to church, but the church was not within us. Can I talk in here? We would rather have Omega Psi Phi tattooed on our arm than to live like Christ. I'd rather you know me as a Delta than know me as being saved and sanctified and Holy Ghost filled.
Come on.
Even in church, Mama dragged me there, Daddy dragged me there, but even in church, I found myself living in ruins. Can I preach in here? The ruins of what folk in the church used to have, but I didn't have. God allowed those walls around Jerusalem to be destroyed because of the rebellion of his people. He took away their safety, took away their security, and made them become a national disgrace. This brings me to my second building principle. Second of three, so hear it and hear it well. When you build, second of four, when you build from the ruins of your old life, what you build then becomes your life's work. You ain't building nothing if we can't see the ruins from what was destroyed in your old life. The rebuilding of the walls would become Nehemiah's life's work. It only took him 52 days, Sister Piano, but it is what he has become known for. Without the walls around Jerusalem, God's people would not have had a sense of security and identity. God saved you. Are you listening? To salvage what is left of the life that was in spiritual ruins. In other words, what you have left of life, God saved you so that now you can use it for his glory. You know, a lot of times, Brother Gerald, when stuff ruined, you just throw it away. A lot of times when stuff sours, you just throw it away. A lot of times when stuff just rotten like me, you just throw it away. Can I preach in here? I'm talking about people, Brother Caldwell, who know a little something about being rotten.
All right. Yes, sir.
And I know I'm not the only one. The fact that God didn't throw you away even though you was rotten. The fact that he didn't discard you even though you were smelling up the joint. The fact that he didn't disown you ought to let you know that he has a plan for the rest of your life. In other words, he didn't even save you, Bobby Mallett, and then let you die immediately. Isn't that what we all want? To do evil all our days and then lay up in the bed at the last second of the last hour and say, Lord, I believe, and then die and go to heaven. Negro been evil all his life except that one last second. And then he want to go to heaven. That ain't how it works. If God gonna save you, he wants you to hang around. He wants the world to see the ruins as well as the resurrection. He wants the world to see the old you as well as the new you. Is it all right to preach in here? God God wants the world to know what he can do with what the world ruined.
Yes, sir.
God want to do a little bragging, Brother Kirkland. He want to tell the world, see, that thing that was rotten. But I didn't throw it away. I brought new life out of a rotten apple. Can I talk in here? You thought I had to throw it away and cut the apple tree down. But I brought new life out of the old life. That's a building principle. It ain't for us to hide the ruins. Hide what we once was. God don't want you to hide it. God wants you to put it on display to show the world what he has done in your life. In other words, he wants to show the world the before and the after. When God humbled Israel, sent them off, Sister Daniels, get out of my sight. You ever had your mama tell you, slap you across your mouth? My mama did me like that and tell you, get out of her sight. He sent them off geographically to Babylon. He could have restored them right there in Babylon. But he didn't. Because he made a promise to Abraham some 1,500 years earlier that his descendants wouldn't live in Babylon. They would go there, but they wouldn't stay there. Can I talk in here? In other words, I might go some places, but I ain't going to stay there. He could have saved me in Babylon, but he didn't save me in Babylon because he made a promise to Abraham that I'm going to give you this land right here that you're sitting on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Deaconess Fairley, he allowed a remnant to return from Babylon, to go back to Israel, to return to the place of ruin. Can I talk in here? I need you to hear it, Brother Gerald, because this is a pattern with God. God calls his people. Here it is, Sister Piano. He calls them. He calls them to build in the very same place, Sister Berry, where they had been previously humble. Can I talk in here? Sometime you got to go back to the club where you turned up and hand leaflets out to Negroes that's coming out drunk. Can I talk in here? Sometime you got to go back to the H house where you laid up. The 304 house. You get it now? You have to go back there where you laid up and help all the other homemongers who coming out. If you want to be rewarded by God, Sister Daniels, for your life's work, you got to build in the same place around the same people who saw you get humble. Can I talk in here? Ain't no use in you getting humble and God putting some act right on you if you can't go back and act right around the ones you got to whooping about in the first place.
Yes, sir.
God will send you back around. Some of the same ones who help humble you. What remains of your ruin, Sister Powell, God will strengthen so you can build on. For example, you got to build a marriage in the same place where you previously tried to destroy your marriage. Can I talk in here? Let me just tell you, boy, you a deacon. Ain't no way I was going to put her as a deaconess because the world, this city, need to see. The same city that saw y'all clowning need to see you both serving. Can I preach in here? In the same place where you clown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your new marriage. It's got to be in the same place where your old marriage didn't work out. Can I talk in here? That's a part of your life's work. Rebuilding old stuff.
Yes.
Rebuilding stuff that the world said give up on. That the world said it'll never work out. God's power will show you, Stephen Caldwell, that he can do anything. Listen, you got to become trustworthy in the same place where people no longer trust you. because of what you did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well done.
The Jews could not have dignity, Brother Mallett, until they did something with the wall. The ruined wall was a reminder of their failure to please God. But by building from those same ruins, that very same wall, the one that was an anathema previously to them, that wall became a testimony to the saving power of God. And this way, the stone that was formerly rejected becomes the stone that holds the whole wall together. Can I talk in here? In other words, before I was building without Jesus, now I got Jesus as my cornerstone. It is his grace and his work that holds my new life together. This becomes our new identity in Christ, just as the wall around Jerusalem restored their national identity. Who are you? I am a child of God, passed from death unto life, brought up out of destruction by a God who got power to raise the dead.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Nothing them Jews did mattered until they had a wall around their city. See, people who saw you in sin ought to know that Christ is now your strong tower. Can I talk in here? Listen, not about that new man you got, not about that new woman you got, not about the new car you drive, not about the new job you got, but the Savior. This brings me to my third principle, a building that we get from Nehemiah, and here it is. You ready? Sister Daniel, if you have not met opposition, you can stop now because you ain't building nothing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you hear me in the back?
Yes, sir.
If you ain't met opposition, Brother Caldwell, you ain't building nothing worthwhile. You on Saffron and Son. You got a pile of junk.
Oh, yes.
You can judge the value of what you're becoming, of what you are building, Gerald, by the opposition you face.
Yes, sir.
See, Tequila, some of us ain't building nothing. We are content that there ain't no barrier, no wall between us and the world. We want to look like them, act like them, have no meaningful difference between us and them. But I need you to know that if the world is not opposing who you're becoming, then you're either not building anything or you're not building anything worthwhile to God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you realize that some stuff you do may be a great accomplishment to you? Like winning the Heisman for Travis Hunter may be a great accomplishment, like winning the Celebration Bowl like JSU. And then stuff like that, if you don't use that platform for Christ, it don't mean nothing to him.
Yes, sir. Yes.
One of the most disappointing things in life is to think you've done something great and then have God say, Negro, you ain't done squat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That wall got to be there, separating you from them. That's how you know I'm doing it for God. I'm separate from the world. But also, how hard is the world fighting me? Can I talk in here? See, I look at them guys like that pimp in the back, Omar Jackson, and I look at that big pimp, Stephen Caldwell, and I just know that the world comes at them, and all these good-looking women. See, short brothers don't get no love. I had to hang around y'all when I was lost to get your throwaways. Can I preach in here? But I need you to understand that they have no opposition to your celibacy. You ain't building nothing. If you just give it out, slang it out, measure it out. That means you ain't got nothing. You're not building anything worthwhile except something God gonna destroy later. Can I get a witness? If you're not meeting opposition, saying, come on now, I know you ain't like that, baby. It's winter time. Be nice to me. The people around the Jewish nation, the Canaanite folks, did not want them to rebuild that wall. To rebuild that wall would have meant to restore their distinctiveness as the people of God. It would reinforce their separation from their Canaanite neighbors. It is to say, Brother Omar, I ain't like you no more. I know it's shameful not to have a front door on your house. Can I talk in here? I ain't like that no more. You know, when I was young, Bobby Mallet, and them uncles of mine, you know them, when they would leave the house, I'd go through their stuff. I'd be looking for stuff. Old roaches. I ain't talking about the insect roach. I'm talking about the kind you fired up. Be looking for condoms and nudie magazines. And every now and then that old mindset come back on me, Bobby Mallet, when I get up and I go somewhere and I know Daniel Ryan at home. I said, what is this Negro going through my stuff? In other words, did I leave my front door open? But see, I got a wall up now. And whatever he may find, it'll be for the glory of God. Can I talk in here? He won't find no nudie magazines. He won't find none of that bow in there. He won't find them top papers. You see, Sister Daniels, if you find the top papers, you knew to keep looking. Those around the Jews wanted the front door to stay unbuilt so they could peep in every now and then and see what y'all doing in there. And if I want to bring my sin in, I can bring my sin in. More importantly, I can keep you from being righteous. So when Nehemiah became the governor of Judah and he went back there, he encouraged them to remove their shame by going to work. They faced the mockery and the scorn of their neighbors. Can I just say this? Omar, I hope you ain't weak like some men. Some men have a woman say something to him, all of a sudden he say, ain't no punk, and then he ain't got no front door on his house.
All right. Go. Yes.
You understand? Brother Caldwell, when I look at you, I feel like I'm preaching the SL 40 years ago. Homung in SL.
Yes,
and I know that some women might have said something. I know you ain't keeping all that good stuff to yourself.
Yes.
See, some of us can't take a little mockery, a little scorn. Some of us can't take folk talking about us, especially in Vicksburg, Mississippi. If folk talk about you, you'll stop coming to church. If folk talk about you, you'll stop being celibate. If folk say something bad, oh man, let them put you on Facebook.
Yes.
Some of us, Sister Cookie, we let some talk mess up the work we ought to be doing. Can I preach in here? Listen, I need you to understand now. As you're building your life's work, Sister Piano, you can expect to face the mockery of the Deltas. If they ain't mocking you, you ain't doing nothing.
Yes.
Is it all right to preach in here? I know it is. I'm going to preach some more. Because I see somebody just got the message. They mocked Christ. Are you better than him? Some of y'all think you are. Because you're busy telling me how to do it so I can remain friends with folk on the other side of the wall.
Yes, sir.
Can I preach in here? Y'all didn't know that, did you? I'm going to let you know a little secret. They say, well, he didn't have to say it like that because, he going to make them mad over there. Well, who do I choose to make mad? Me and a God. Because they both ain't going to be happy. Because the Bible says to be friends with the world is to be God's enemy. Somebody going to be an enemy. Ain't no frenemies in this. Somebody going to be a flat-out enemy. And some of y'all skin so thin that all a Negro got to do is say something bad about you and you're back to your old ways.
Yes, sir.
Now, when they were back in the club, Bobby Mallard, they used to take them Polaroids back in the day. And used to like taking them Polaroids, man. Not you, but just us. But now you come in the church, they don't take my picture. He gonna put that on Facebook. But when you was in the club, you want that Polaroid. You was shaking it and, ooh, get my drink. Yes. Ain't that right, Dr. Thompson? Get my drink. Come on now. Come on, Dr. Thompson. Get my drink. Get my drink in the picture. That was before your PhD. The D stand for drink.
Yes.
While the Jews worked those 52 days, men like Sanballat and Tobiah, enemies of the Jews, they went around trying to discourage the workers. Sometimes, Gerald, to get at you, I'm going to go to your friends. Say something to Gerald. Tell him he don't need to be going to church. Tell him he ain't got to be celibate like he gay or something. Tell him that he don't take all that. You ain't got to talk to God every day. You ain't got to do what God say do. God will just accept you any way you are.
Yes, sir.
A lot of times, Deaconess Fairley, if they can't get at you, they'll get at the folk around.
Yes.
And Sanballat and Tobiah, they was good at getting the folk friends. Telling them you ain't got no business on that wall. You're making a mockery of yourself. Can I preach in here? In other words, I need you to stop doing what you're doing because you look like you're not doing anything worthwhile. And sometimes it feels like that when you're saved. When you're newly saved, it feels like your work is going unnoticed. And everybody around you is a critic telling you what you ought not be doing. I stopped by to tell you that's just the devil's workers sent by to discourage you. That's good news that you're on the right track. But how many of us have let some discouraging words? Can I just talk in here? You let some discouraging words stop you from your life's work for Christ. Because somebody, Desiree, didn't like the fact that you wasn't showing your body no more.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yes.
Somebody didn't like the fact that you wasn't doing what you used to do. Because you do understand when your front door open, people come in and use you. Go all in your refrigerator. Go in your closets and everywhere else. See what you got. They just using you. But when they find out that you done put a big old steel door up and it's got a lock on it, they mad because they can't use you no more.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
When you start doing for the Lord, they find out, Brother Caldwell, that they can't use you no more. How many voices do we let get inside our heads, especially around holiday time? Did you know, my sisters and my brothers, that Nehemiah and his workers, they had to work with a tool in one hand and a weapon in the other hand? Because when words would not discourage them, violence was then threatened. In other words, they want to remind you that you're no different from them. They lie on you and they'll slander you. Just like they did Nehemiah. They will do anything to keep you from the work that God has set up for you. In other words, Brother Omar Jackson, folks would rather see you unemployed than go to work and be able to purchase a car better than the one they drive. Folk would rather see you living on the street than have a better house than what they have. What are you saying, preacher? I'm saying that when those who once sat in ruins, when they start to prosper, those around them try to put them back where they were.
Yes, sir.
You're not Omar the righteous, you Omar the homeless. You're not Stephen the righteous, you're Stephen the whoremonger. And we want to keep it that way. Can I talk in here? In other words, right where I had you, I don't want to see you have no joy.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to see you happy. I don't want to see you going to school to better yourself. You know you're on the right road to pleasing God when that type of opposition come up. Your people would rather you shack than marry. They would rather you live in ruins with no moral wall built around your life. They would rather, Stephen Caldwell, you have kids out of wedlock. They would rather our women live on government assistance, be somebody's side piece, rather than live a celibate life and tell people no. Can I talk in here? What I'm trying to say is that the enemies of the Jews, they went to Nehemiah. They said, come on, bro, come down. I got something I want to talk to you about. Wasn't nobody interested in you until God became interested in you. Can you hear me on the back row? Nobody was interested in you. Until God became interested in you. To everybody else, you was a piece of junk. Always had been a piece of junk. Lying and ruin on the side of the road. But when God started to build you back up, folks saw God moving in your life. They said, now I want to get in there and talk to Permit Thuha, because now I see he doing something. God must be on his side.
Yes, sir.
When you focus on what God wants, you ain't going to entertain what people want. Because when I didn't have nothing, you wasn't for me. When I needed you, you wasn't for me. When I told you about my problems, instead of helping me, you gossiped about me. Can I talk in here? And when I tried to get strong, you tried to keep me weak. Every time I tried to have a little pride, you cut me down. Always talking about my past and what I used to do. And when you ran out of what I used to do, you just started making stuff up. It was enough out there about me that you could have wrote a book, but instead you just started making stuff up. You're sitting around wondering why folk do you that way. They do you that way because they don't want to see God use you. The only time that folk got interested in you is when they found out God was dealing with you. In other words, when God started to build you up, Glenn Powell, folk got to tear you down, because then they become the subject of inquiry. In other words, when folk get to talking about you, then they get to talking about people who used to run with you. And then it'd be like, well, God took Glenn Powell and did this with him. Why you ain't done nothing? Oh, man, Glenn ain't about nothing. He's still messing with old girl around the block. Oh, man, Glenn's stealing from that job. He's still selling dope. Folk will lie on you because your light will expose the darkness in their lives. The fact that God is rebuilding shows that it can be done. Your life then becomes a witness against Negroes.
Yes, sir.
See, Todd is starting to figure out now why his daddy feel that way. It ain't because he is daddy. It's because he's lost.
Yes. Yes.
And he sees what God can do, what this church can do.
Yes. Yes.
And so I got to tear him down. Because if I don't tear him down, that means I'm rejecting God.
Yes.
I need you to hear it now. Because opposition come with your promotion.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Opposition comes when God puts a smile on your face. Women tried to do you in, make sure you wasn't going to never be happy. Can I talk in here? Put them papers on you. Take that paycheck. Your middle name is G for Ghana Sheep. Drive by your house. Make sure you're living raggedy. Anytime they feel like you got something new, you going to court. Judge, he tell the judge, go get it. He got some money somewhere. They don't ever want to see you happy. They don't want to see any joy on your face. When God put a smile on your face, they want to be there to try to wipe it off. Satan's desire is to oppose the work of God. But his threats are only idle threats. And his talk is just that. Talk. It is a way to make you fearful and stop doing what God wants you to do. Stop building. He wants you to do that. He wants to point out the fact, well, if you go over there, they're gonna let you know you can't be no homemonger. And you know that's kind of what you've been. Yeah. See, Satan wants you to realize that you can't be on God's side and hate folk. But you've been hating all your life, and I can see now on a couple of your faces. You realize the people that you hate, and you understand that you can't build anything for God on hate. Can I talk in here? That's why your walls tore up, McGriggs, because you're busy hating folk and not forgiving folk. Forgiveness is a part of building walls. I need you to hear it now. Nehemiah told them, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to come down and talk to you. In fact, he didn't talk to them. He sent a messenger. He never stopped working. Can I talk in here? I need you to hear this now, because some of y'all talking to folk and you shouldn't be talking to them.
Yes. Come on, Pastor. That's all right. Yes, sir.
See, I send my phone calls to you, Sister Coleman. Because I know it's some folk I ain't going to talk to.
Yes, sir.
Guy messed up and got through to me a couple of weeks ago. He said, Pastor, is this you? I said, Brother so-and-so, is this you? He said, yeah. I said, you got 2 minutes to tell me what you want. He got to start it with the same thing he had started on last year. And I said, come to church, and hung up in his face.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
My clique sent a message.
Yes, sir.
Some of y'all spending too much time talking to folk who are opposed to what God is building in your life. Can I talk in here? You spending too much time, too much Christmas, too much Thanksgiving, dealing with folk who are opposed to what God is doing in your life. Nehemiah did not stop working one day. They didn't even stop to worship on the Sabbath. They worked right through.
Yeah.
Anything else was a distraction. And when people came to talk to them, they had a messenger. They never stopped working. You don't know how much time you got left.
Yes, right.
You mean to tell me you're going to spend the time you got left talking about the same mess you've been talking about thus far?
Yeah. Yes.
Talking about getting on a bus going to a Jackson State game?
Come on.
Talking about going to Mardi Gras? Ain't you done had enough Mardi Gras?
Yes. Yes.
Talking about sexual immorality?
Yes.
Ain't you done had enough talking to slick Negroes? You ain't learned your lesson dealing with Jezebels? You ain't learned your lesson drinking Cavassier? You know you on heart medication now. You done had enough drink already to embalm yourself. And you looking for a drink on New Year's Eve?
Come on, Pastor.
You're wasting time on things you shouldn't be wasting time on. You have given those things enough of your life. I hear God's enemy, Brother Caldwell, talking bad about me, but I'm still eating. I hear my name being slandered, but my bills didn't get paid. I hear folk talking about what they're going to do, and yet I still have joy. Is it all right to preach in here? I know that I'm doing what Nehemiah said, a work for the Lord. And this brings me to my fourth and final point. 2 minutes and I'm gone. In this life, you ain't finished until you're standing before Christ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some of us going to stand before him in honor, and others of us are going to stand before him in dishonor. Yeah. He's going to tell some, well done, my good and faithful servant. But he's going to tell others, depart from me. I know you was doing a work, but that work was of iniquity. Can I preach in here? It's either one or it's the other. It is the work of God in your life, Gerald, or it is the work of Satan. A man can't serve two masters. And I know that there are some young graves of young people out at Cedar Hill. Can I talk in here? In other words, you're not just young and dumb. You're young and accountable. Can I preach in here? You are accountable to God for the things that you have heard in the house of God. You're not too young to begin building your life's work. Because at the end of our lives, we're going to have to stand before God and present our lives like a science fair project. Can I preach in here? If you had a science fair project, you had to defend it. The judge came by and asked you some questions. He could tell if you just threw it together, if it was something you did last night, if you just brought it just to say you had something. But the one that took his time with it, the one that studied the book about it, the one that knew the theory behind it, was able to stand and defend it. Can I talk in here? He was able to say, for God I'll live, and for God I'll die. The work I do it for the Lord, because only what we build for God. Can I talk in here? Only what we build for God, not for the Democratic Party. Only what we build for God, not the NAACP. Only what we build for God, not the Alumni Association. Only what we build for God, not the AKAs. Can I talk in here? Only what we build for God. I'm talking about the stone that the builders rejected. I went and found mine, and I made it the cornerstone. I built my whole life around it. The one everybody was ashamed of, the one that was cast out, the one they tried to destroy on a hill called Calvary. I claim him as my own. The one that hung on the old rugged cross, the one that's despised by the world, the one that folk talk talked about, that they lied on, that they said he wasn't no good. They said he was blasphemous. They said he was committing treason. But he said, I am that I am. Can I talk in here? He said, I am the Son of God. Can I preach in here? I believe you know the story. He came into the world as Mary's baby, but he was crucified as my Lord. Can I talk in here? I'm talking about Jesus that hung out on a cross on a Friday evening. He hung there for my sake. Can I talk in here? Let me tell you about the Roman cross. It was an emblem of shame. Even your family didn't want to have nothing to do with you. It was for traitors. It was designed to make you suffer, trying to make you bleed, and then finally die. Isn't the Lord good? But I'm glad before he died, I heard him mumble the words that it is done, it is finished. In other words, his work for my life is done. Can I talk in here? A little work now done on his behalf. It ain't gonna hurt me because he did the big work already. He went to work on my behalf that I would have a place to call home. In the Lord good, because I can't stay here by and by. I got to leave here just a few more weary days. The hymnologist said, I'll fly away. I don't care whether you're 18 or 80. You can't stay here. You got to fly away. He made a home for me. He said, I'm going away, but I'm coming back. That where I am, there you may be also. In other words, he's been building. In the Lord good. Our Lord is a builder. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He is the stone that the builders rejected. He is the gate in the Lord. All right. He's a wheel in the middle of a wheel, way up in the middle of the air. In the Lord. All right. He's the flame that's a consuming fire that can never be put out. In the Lord good. I'm glad I'm on God's side. I wish I had a witness. Ain't nobody stopping me now. I'm headed toward glory. I'm doing a little work before I die. I'm telling everybody, every man, boy, and girl, that Jesus saves. Can I talk in here? My Lord and your God, he saves. Is he all right? Can I preach a little while longer? He died that Friday evening. I wonder, do you know he died? I'm so glad that he didn't stay dead. But early Sunday morning, sometime between midnight and dawn, he got up out of that bed. He had Omar Jackson in mind. He had Stephen Caldwell in mind. He had Tequila Berry in mind. He had R.D. Bernard in mind. Can I talk in here? He got up out of that grave with all power in his hand. He got love power, joy power. Hallelujah to the Lamb. And now I'm working on a great work, a powerful work, a mighty work. And I'm not going to let anybody stop me. I'm not going to let no idle talk put me down. And when the opposition come, I know I'm doing a good work because I got Negroes trying to oppose me. If I had sinners patting me on the back saying, yeah, you're doing a good job, I had to say, what? Yes. If you're here today, what is the purpose of your life? What is your life's work? If people cannot say about you when you leave that you knew the Lord, all that other stuff, let me just help you now. I'm 55. And I understand this more than I understand anything else. In my obituary, anywhere else, if folk ain't saying I knew the Lord, they might well not say nothing. I'm not interested in no long list of stuff. He was a CPA and he was the first black they hired over here and then he did this and they got his picture in this book. That stuff forgotten now. They remember it the day I die, and 2 weeks after that, it's gone forever. But when I stand in eternity, he looking for the stuff I did for him to advance his cause, and I ought to be able to look around and see some of y'all there because of my work here. You know you got good work if when you get there, you can look around and see people that your witness helped get them there. Which means your work has eternal significance. Sometimes it ain't nothing but going back to somebody you messed over, saying, I'm sorry. Can I talk in here? Sometimes that's what it is, Cookie, going back to somebody that you messed over, saying, I'm sorry. And that's enough to let them know that God is doing a work in your life. A lot of the stuff that was done to you, when you can forgive folk, they'll know that there's a work being done in your life. If you're here this morning, and you are, and God is speaking to your heart, now is the time. Shall we stand? Now is the time. Now.